Okay, let's get started again. Okay, let's get started again. A little bit an earlier start because I want to go through a few examples where we have actually used knowledge management techniques and that have really enhanced the performance. So in a way, a good advertisement exercise for it. Okay, I had as well a very good question. There was a question, what are actually knowledge assets? Or what are actually intelligible assets? Yeah, and with this, this is a very good question. So I want to try to explain it a little bit on the model of the paper. So this is literally what we published and which was used. Yeah? So we have very easily looked at it in terms of knowledge sharing behavior and versus what created actually this beneficial shift. And what does it actually mean? Yeah, what is this knowledge management? Yeah, so we had a very simple look at knowledge sharing behavior in terms of role. Who was a contributor and receiver? Yeah, but don't worry, it's not like robotics that you literally look like. Now I'm talking, it's a monologue. This was dialogue. Yeah, so the role shifts, of course. Yeah, so don't see that as a one-way communication. Yeah, so it's switching, of course. And then we had like different strategies of sharing knowledge. Yeah, one is the personification strategy, and the other one is the codification. What does that mean? What is codification? Does anybody know? Yeah, this was the right answer actually in the first row.
Written law?
Yeah, written down. Codification is writing. Yeah. Personification, what is that? Ask or call a friend. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so here we had like the success criteria that we kind of identified. So it was really the outcome, if you want. But we have actually brought it a little bit into different settings that we actually had in that company. So we followed actually the setting. So at the top we had like a project memory system. Yeah, this is a codification strategy. For that would be traditional and new information and communication technologies. So here you have documents, databases, emails. What else? Another example. How do we codify information? We don't. Nobody does. What would be another example? Yeah, internet, exactly. Yeah, it's the heart of the biggest library. Yeah, I mean artifacts work as well. Yeah, models and so forth. Yeah, that is all codification strategy. BIM. Yeah. So okay, then in the personalization strategy, if you look actually at the project memory system, this is memory representations, personal interaction, mental models, dialogues, workshops, seminars. Yeah, so reference frameworks basically, yeah, where you can build on and apply it in situ. Yeah? Training, for example. Yeah? Project memory itself is explicit and declarative at the codification stage. Yeah? So here it's specifications, instructions, definitions. This can be as well standards. Yeah? And then of course you have on the personalization strategy, it's tacit and procedural knowledge. Yeah, those are coming from competences, values, norms. How do you negotiate? Is it easy for you to find the decision? Or do you not like to make a decision? Yeah? Working with me is a nightmare. I have always decisions. Yeah? But if they're the right ones, it's a questionable thing to add. Yeah? But I come very quickly out with decisions. Yeah? So there you go. there's a certain element with this. So combined, if you actually look at that in terms of organizational form, individualized versus institutionalized, what does that mean, institutionalized? What would that be in our project context? You remember the five different, let's quickly go to this. Oh my gosh, this is more clicking than I thought. Okay, here we are. So permanent organization or temporary organization, where's our institutionalized one? Is it the project? Where is it? Oh, somebody nods? So where is it? Yeah, permanent organization. Yeah, so this is what remains. The temporary organization is the one that appears and disappears. Does that make sense? Yeah. So going back to our institutionalized. Yeah. So we start with quadrant number 1. Yeah, but here we have individualized personalization mechanisms, individual networks. Yeah, phone book. Then you have individualized codification, that is quadrant 2. It's an individualized codification mechanism. Yeah, so here you have documents produced during the project and stored on individual hard disks, are transferred through social networks. Can you send me the template that you used in your past project? That would be such a thing. Yeah, and then you email me the project management plan. Yeah, that would be a good example of such. Then we have the institutionalized forms. So those are in the permanent organization. Yeah. So here you have institutionalized personalization mechanisms. Yeah. Those are providing access to experts, for example. Yeah, bringing people in to actually getting you up to speed. What is another one? That was one. Okay, I see. It needs some reading and settling in. There are many more. Yeah, this is as well the mentor role again. Yeah, it doesn't have to be external necessarily. Yeah. Okay, quadrant 3. So I jumped actually that one. But institutionalized codification mechanisms is the databases or repositories or lesson learned database. Yeah. So those are normally institutionalized and codified. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so if you come actually to the tools for assessing what you want to go by, we have actually looked at the environment and the context as well. Yeah. So here we looked at size and geographically dispersion. So are you sitting in the same office or not? And what strategies can actually meet this? Yeah, versus nature of work or problem that you have at hand with your project. Yeah? So this is again the old framework. So if you look at the size and geographically dispersion, 2 categories were recommended: small and co-located, or large and geographically dispersed. So you work in a international project setting. Yeah, and then on the nature of work or problems, we had unique versus standardized. And this is then again applicable from the previous model. So quadrant 1, most suitable for individualized, personalized mechanisms. Now, what was that again? Do you remember the example? Okay, you really want to read the paper. Yeah, I can see it in your eyes. Yeah, so this is cool stuff. Yeah, but okay. So it's slightly complicated. Yeah, but let me talk you through. So quadrant number 2, most suitable is for individualized codification mechanisms. If you think about it, it is actually quite natural, but it's so implicit that we often do it subconsciously. But there's a trap with this. Yeah. So if you are not available, if you work in different time zones, then the personification strategy will bring a lot of tension into your team when they call you at 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey mate, what did you do last project on this and this? Yeah, this is creating good atmosphere. Yeah? So it's a direct impact on that. Yeah. Quadrant number 4. So when you look again at standardized, large and geographically dispersed, most suitable for institutionalized codification mechanisms. Yeah? So remember what those were. Yeah. And then last but not least, unique, most suitable for institutionalized personification mechanisms. You get experts that have worked on it before. Does that make sense? Yeah? Give you an insight what actually happened. Yeah. Actually, I quickly give you examples because otherwise it won't stick. Yeah. So large geographically dispersed. If it's a unique thing, you want, of course, people that have been in that situation before or have at least a glimpse on what's required. So you invite the experts, yeah? Or you do a brainstorming. You have other tools to actually come to ideas what is required. Yeah? And here, when it's actually standardized and large or geographically dispersed teams, yeah, then you go, of course, for a repository or data archive. Yeah, you won't get around that. And similar, when you are in small, co-located, yeah, it's just your project team, yeah, very directed. Then, of course, you have the respective personified strategies. Yeah. Okay. So why did I point out that there were traps with that? We saw that repeatedly. Well, it's very simple. If you actually apply it, yeah, a knowledge contributor comes in and has something to contribute, yeah, and he is very keen on that. So we have a push. He wants to tell you this is good stuff. Yeah, if you are the project manager, the other project manager, oh, you're working on this project, I want to tell you all about it. Yeah, but I wrote a report. Here you go. So that is normally what it is. But as a receiver, yeah, we appreciate, yeah, this is actually what I just suggested, read my paper, you know, and you're like, no, I want the answer, no, I don't want to read your paper. Yeah, so there's a dilemma. Do you see that? It's, you know, the receiver wants to hear the answer. He's not so interested in reading the answer, yeah, but we have here a mismatch. Does that make sense? Yeah, contributor wants to show him the wonderful paper, but the receiver is kind of like, no, just tell me. It's easier. Yeah? So there is a mismatch here very often. This is not just with my, where's the rest gone? This is not just here. So knowledge receiver is often looking with different strategies here. Yeah, so there's a blank sheet approach. What is a blank sheet approach? We call it something else. It's a wonderful metaphor. It's the ostrich approach. Did you know what that is? Yeah. Not, yeah, was the right way around. I mix it sometimes up. I tell my students that it's sand in the head, but that's not what it is. So literally, a problem comes and you just don't do anything about it. You stick your head in the sand and pretend it's not there. Yeah, so children do the same, you know, they do that. And yeah, it's not good. So we pretend we don't know it, or we don't know that there's a problem. Then there's a cribbing answer. Yeah, this is our institutional platform. Yeah, find internal written material, yeah, data mining. You kind of take that challenge on. Do we just do that today? Find internal written material? What do? We have actually a luxury since 12 years, or more probably. We say 12 years. What do we do since 12 years in projects? Do we just look in the internal archive? Okay, I like that. Yeah, sure. Already like the brand delivered with it. Yeah, we go on the internet. Yeah, we're at the headquarter of the world. Yeah, you go, of course, on the internet and have a look what's there. Yeah, and Google is already a little bit better informed. Yeah, normally my pragmatic idea is Wikipedia. Yeah, and then I should warn you, I added as well a few sites there. Yeah, so they differ depending on how I feel. No, this is not true. I inform it, of course, but yeah, there are issues with it. Then, of course, the other option is ask a colleague. This is potentially dangerous, but it gives you an idea. Yeah. And then we had it with the internet already. Yeah, but search externally. Here in the paper, it was actually ask a consultant. So this was as well something that was mentioned earlier on. Yeah. How do we get knowledge? We ask a consultant. But be aware, not all the consultants always have the right answers, so they often guide you as well through the process. So sometimes it's actually worthwhile to initiate the process yourself. Yeah, so this is what we arrived at in the company, how it was perceived to actually effort to benefit ratio. Yeah, this is a that was emotional. It was a like-that scale. So we asked literally the teams in the company how they perceived they actually got the information that they were after. Yeah, and did they find that they had found somebody that is knowledgeable of this? Yeah. So in a way, effort to benefit ratio, you can see the least effort was asking a colleague, especially if you share the office, it's very quickly done. It wears down though. If you do that all the time, you know, your colleague will not be happy to be in the office with you anymore. So there's a natural balance there. Internally, I have to say, they had actually a wiki, they had a company wiki, which was pretty impressive. So it was actually relatively easy to look in other documents if you had the right keywords. And needless to say, blank sheet approach didn't really bring anything. Search externally, you get ideas, but it doesn't always apply. Yeah. So in the end, they actually settled, or the most preferred way was actually asking a colleague, which was quite interesting. Yeah, so this favors as well certain idea generation methods like brainstorming. You know, get your colleagues involved and make them part of the stakeholders. Yeah. So what did that translate to? We had again here the dilemma, but what we did find when you actually come to the knowledge receiver, matching contributor and receiver strategies, codification strategy could work, yeah. But you have to make it then accordingly interesting. Yeah, so you have to basically allow easy access that is appreciated. Yeah. At the same time, that was often a push situation. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? What is pull and push? Once you have that, you can as well rate, for example, documents. Yeah, so that was what they actually did in that case, which was quite interesting actually. So they rated basically different lessons learned against the context, or refined it even. They said like, no, actually what you're suggesting here as lessons learned didn't work in my project because of that, and then you actually inform your reporting system. This can be more sophisticated, yeah, depending on how scientifically correct you are or what criteria you're using versus emotional accounts where it can go either way. It can be an indication but not too meaningful. So if you look actually at the personification strategy, the knowledge receiver, then we had of course the other way around, and this was really a pull mechanism. This was really the mentor idea. Yeah, so to integrate a role for past project managers, or often not even project managers anymore, that moved on. One was a sales director, but who was very keen on especially the external part, and he was very interested and had like regular meetings with the project manager. So when it comes to that, you know, you can as well discuss accordingly. So this was really the aim in a way. What it came to is it panned out in different ways. Knowing who you actually need as a contributor. One strategy is asking long enough till you find the right person. You know, this is often what happens, but it's actually quite, yeah, it depends on your network and how you have been integrated. So if you start brand new in a company, this is probably quite difficult. Yeah, so then a better contributor is of course sometimes even outside of your network. Yeah, this becomes then a massive issue. And the idea was really to actually bridge that with different scenarios. So this was the one study, a follow-up study that was done in, well, it was done a year later, but it took us 2 years to publish this paper. So that was actually looking at how, which industry was that in? I think we compared definitely automotive with, I think, aerospace. And here we came up with trying knowledge management tools and techniques versus risk. Yeah, so this is the next step if you want. Yeah, so if you actually are in a project setting, you can apply, of course, knowledge management tools to overcome them. Yeah, so and here it was very simple mapped out. So classical risk areas for their setting, especially when it comes to new designs, was unavailability of information. Yeah? So if you build a brand new plane or car where you actually try to push a lot of elements, then you have a good idea from past experience, but you may not yet know what the solutions are around it. Yeah? So it's maybe research and development driven. And the knowledge management toolbox has here different aspects that can be mapped against it depending on its applicability. And this is literally what the dissertation looked at, and it was grounded basically in the industry settings. And so we interviewed with that the project directors from both company clusters. Yeah, so in this we found that I have here 5 risk management areas that became the shared kind of major risk for the projects that they actually run, that are kind of boundary pushing, and unavailability of information, methods like brainstorming, best practice sessions, so where you tell narratives, where you bring the people together and discuss what made actually the best practice, past experiences in forms of narratives, cross-project learning, this was what we had earlier, so you allow actually a transfer there and give people insight. This can be done differently. Maybe you go into their site and have a look, they lead you around what they're doing, how they're actually controlling it. This gives you normally a very rich insight, and if you do it mutually, this is normally cool stuff. You can as well compare what you actually favor and what they are favoring in comparison. And then, of course, intellectual asset use. This is normally to do, they work a lot with patents. So if they develop something, they patent it as well, which is a little bit a dilemma for us. It's actually kind of cool. Patents, we can, of course, look in. It's just we cannot copy it. But if you're a little bit smart with materials, you can normally do similar functions with in different ways. This is as well where some companies don't actually go for patents. But then, of course, knowledge maps, mapping out where potential experts are in the company who can help you with this. Next one was really the absence of defined context, so that a lot of projects where the clients didn't yet know what they wanted. There was one very interesting one, there was a transport plane that was supposed to fly very long directions and then had at the same time the possibility to fly so slow, close over the ground, that you could kind of drive out the truck whilst flying. Now that was nearly an impossibility, but they accepted the project, which was interesting. So it was very costly, and the cost, it was possible in the end. It cost a lot of development, research and development. The plane exists now. It's a cargo transport plane. It's impressive. It can land even on on a small ship, so which is very impressive. But nonetheless, it's there were a lot of problems with it. So they went actually for knowledge fairs. This was with universities, looking at prototypes, working with turbine makers, looking at rocket engines, and I don't know what. But it was fascinating to see. So they went for knowledge fairs. Traditionally, they did the Pestler analysis, actually evaluated if they could ask for more money. That was actually quite smart at that point. And then, of course, knowledge embedding, so making sure that you have as well the people that have the competency, maybe in other companies, bring them in. So they brought actually university professors in. I don't think it was all university professors, but they brought the research students or the research staff in and integrated them as part of the team. Then, of course, smart analysis. Well, you're familiar with the tool. Then best practices again, and knowledge workshops. Okay. Inadequate information flow, that there was another one to do with supply chains. That had actually a lot to do with the data as well, because they recorded it in different units, and the database was kind of assumed to be universal, which turned out to be a massive issue, especially in aerospace. So you can actually kind of work with a reward system to edit and modify that accordingly. What are rewards? What would be a reward? In a project team, what would be a reward for you?
Increasing salary?
I like that. Yeah. a bonus. Yeah, I like the increase of salary. You think already contingently afterwards. Yeah, normally it's a pay bonus. Yeah, or a small reward. Yeah, a project manager. This is normally a good thing. Yeah, free pizza for everybody. Yeah, something like that. It's somewhere in between there. It's of course a joke with the pizza, but it's the idea that there are different reward elements, and they help when there's an inadequate information flow. You can incentivize that the proper information actually do flow. That works better if you work in inter-organizational settings. Yeah, so you have your company project team, but you work with other companies too. Then after action reviews, yeah, so literally you break it down in the work packages that you do, yeah, product packages potentially, or the work breakdown that you have, and you reflect on it and forecast as well where you want to go. This is always short term, next thing to do, and then long term. Do we still hit actually where we want to be, yeah, in the future? Pretty cool stuff actually, yeah. Then we have as well lesson learned. Communities of practice is really the idea that you are socializing together, yeah, that you actually create kind of a culture where you come and talk about the stuff that you have been doing. If you start talking about football, at the beginning it's a good icebreaker. In the long run you have to actually demise that. Yeah, communities of practice with... Should I give the example? Yeah, I work inter-university-wide in a network as well, a research network. And we have there two characters that really like to talk about football, but not so much about our research. This is a problem. Yeah? So you have to interfere then with that at some point. Yeah? So as an icebreaker, it's okay, but you want to arrive actually on talking about the kind of right stuff, right here, and not right, but in a sense that is constructive. Yeah. Then storytelling was another one, very powerful thing, often underrated. Yeah, if I tell that young project managers, they're often not a big fan of that. I don't know why. This is a very powerful tool, storytelling. And then last but not least, the knowledge database. So basically codifying it and avoiding like centralized power positions. Yeah. Lack of framework of reference. This is where the tacit and explicit comes in. This is a huge issue in knowledge management. You can start benchmarking, again, identify best practices, so you see the overlap already, lessons learned, knowledge audit is a possibility. So knowledge audit in terms of who has worked on that problem before, and then really get them involved with like detailed question. So personification strategies are important here. And then as well knowledge sharing, so this is actually the idea, again, like communicating or finding means of actually allowing that. Knowledge sharing is as well often associated with bringing actually the person in. Yeah? So that is as well one. And again, knowledge maps is a very popular one. Last one from that, risks that were actually mapped out as like high impacting on those projects was ineffective linkage of systems. I think I told you before that actually the Eurofighter, the Typhoon, was presented 5 years ago, fell actually down from the sky like a brick. Yeah, due to that, there were too many teams on it, and there had huge problems with that. So embedding information is then quite essential. Knowledge brokerage, yeah, or champions of knowledge, that is what the CKOs stands for, is a good tool. And then of course knowledge audits, knowledge workers maybe potentially as well, people that actually look through the information and focus on the alignment, especially if you have complex systems that are basically configured all the time. That becomes very difficult. And then collaborative technologies, creating one ICT system, yeah, information communication technology. That is normally very powerful. Here again, BIM is one, yeah. Aerospace, it's slightly different. And does anybody know automotive? What is BIM called? What is the collaborative technology in automotive? Yeah. Okay, literally, nearly all industries have like an information management tool that has been standardized in the last years. This is because we communicate more and more outside of our organization form. Yeah? So if you're interested in that, world leading is probably at the moment still automotive sector. There are formats that are basically transferable. It's centrally stored in a database unit, so it's publicly available as well with patents. Yeah? It's unfortunately a lot. So it's not easy accessible, but it's pretty cool. Then we have again knowledge maps that solve this as well. And I have as well summarized you, this is maybe for review afterwards, techniques of knowledge with the references, that you can get an idea what may be functional. Yeah, forming communities of practice, that is normally Love and Wenger, they describe really the idea behind it. It's creating a learning environment, yeah, where you actually kind of can reflect what you're doing against what is desirable to be done, yeah. Yeah, basically sharing and learning from each other. Then we have creation and utilization of knowledge databases. Yeah, the functional literature is certainly in that literature piece. Incorporation of lessons learned into strategy. Koskinen has looked at this in a lot of detail. So this is all project management specific, yeah, if you're interested in this. And then brainstorming sessions. Well, you have done it yourself, but in a way, if you are interested in the wider applications and games that go around that, when I say games, it's kind of like creative facilitation tools. Yeah, they have actually evaluated that. And establishing knowledge maps. This is actually sometimes quite something that is tearing because it takes time and it needs the input pretty much from everybody to come to a refined notion there, which can be very dragging. Yeah. Then performing knowledge audits, this can be done centrally if you have human resource management mechanisms, but it needs to feed really back to the project management office, or if you don't have that, to the project manager. And that can be a huge database potentially that becomes difficult to handle. Yeah? Benchmarking is a most applicable one. Usage of rewards. Knowledge sharing through motivation, be careful with that. It has often this reverse effect too. So if you don't give the incentives anymore, nobody wants to share knowledge anymore. So they have done that actually in America in schools. They paid children money to read books. Do you think children read more books? Let's reason about this. So I, as a school teacher, give you for every book that you read money. Will you read more books? Yes, okay, we have a commitment. What kind of books do you read?
Anything you want.
I like that. This is good. The children there had probably the first aspiration like you, but after 1 month, they read a lot of sin books. They didn't like the sick books anymore. It wasn't as profitable. They realized that very quickly. And then when there was no financial incentive, they were actually sick of reading. This is very bad. So in a way, we have the same phenomena here. So be careful. We have empiri on this. Have a look through. Then storytelling, transferring tacit knowledge. This is probably the most powerful one. Because in a narrative, you can ask as well questions. But often, if you write it into your meeting agenda, meeting storytelling with the other project managers, normally people think that is not appropriate. Again, it's a cultural question. In some companies, this is established and works very well. In other companies or sometimes even industries, we are miles ahead from that point. There's unfortunately still the notion that is associated with that, a very masculine culture that is not pro-storytelling. And that is a deep dilemma, really. And last but not least, cross-project learning through knowledge transfer and people transfer. We do that a lot with university. We have then researchers that go into companies and actually apply the concepts. So we have that as well with PhD students potentially. After action reviews for the formation of best practices, here you evaluate. Be careful if you have that masculine culture that I'm referring to. It's often used to promote the boost of the project management career in the company. Then you cannot trust those reports. It's often like tailored to advertise themselves. So we are back at the former stage. Does that make sense? So if you have a culture where you promote yourself and you do the after action reviews, and you want to have the next big project, then you are writing in your own review that you have managed the project successfully, wonderful, but it may not be the lessons learned that really help the next project manager to actually understand how you managed it. So there are huge issues with some of the elements, depending on what culture you try to integrate it. So we need to assess where the tools actually fit. Knowledge fairs for stakeholder involvement is a very powerful thing. We do it conferences, congresses, workshops, trainings, etc. Yeah. Other ones are using collaborative technologies, groupware. You may use it already, Skype, Google Chat. Yeah, Facebook is as well there, but I'm not sure that that is always used the right way. Yeah, there's certainly other aspects that play into it. And by means of social software, here again, Facebook, potentially wikis, social bookmarking, blogs, etc. are used. And they are applicable depending on your setting where the project is based. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I have the last ones. Delegating designations such as knowledge workers is something quite interesting. What is a knowledge worker? I think in some industries you have them a lot. Who are knowledge workers in construction? Let's go through the industry. Construction, knowledge worker?
Clerk of Works.
Yeah?
Clerk of Works. No?
Clerk of what?
He does the snagging list.
Oh.
Snags. No?
Oh, yeah, the clerk. Yeah. This would be one. I like it though. I suppose we could class that as such. Yeah. No, but who would be a knowledge worker?
Like CDM coordinator.
So we had here coordinator.
CDM coordinator.
CDM coordinator. I like that. That is quite. So what is that normally? What do we?
Construction and design management coordinator. So he essentially will know everything to do with, so for instance, health and safety and the best practices for all of the trades.
Okay, so this could be one. Yeah, that is quite a complicated one. That is probably very unique to the UK. Yeah, but this would be one. What is another one? Consultants. Yeah, it's actually the professions. Yeah, so it's a civil engineer that, or structural engineer that does a structural design. Those are knowledge workers. Yeah, because they bring expertise in that is not necessarily required to the actual assemble of the building. They kind of just inform that the building will stand afterwards. Yeah, quantity, yeah, so you name it. Okay, other industries? What about, what is a lovely other industry? What about manufacturing? Who is the knowledge worker there? I mean, they come very often in consultancy look. Yeah, so this was actually a right point. But it's literally people that inform how it can be done. Yeah, so you would be potentially as well a knowledge worker, but okay. It needs a little bit familiarization to actually get your hand around it. Yeah, but knowledge workers is literally the professionalized jobs that we have and that inform basically our practice. It's very simplified.
So qualified people now.
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to avoid. This would be an easy way of mistaking it. Qualified just means that we have kind of standardized it on a basis, on one basis. That may not be the knowledge or competence basis.
Or the knowledge of that profession that you qualified for, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. So if you're professionally qualified, then you're a knowledge worker for this profession. I hope that makes sense. Slightly cryptic, yeah? Okay, never mind. Then we have the chief knowledge officers. That is actually kind of looking at managing it. Often this is associated with knowledge leakage, avoiding that your competitors can find out what's key intelligence to what you're doing, key information if you want that. Then you have knowledge brokers, individuals acting as a reference for information on specific topics, fields of subjects. In the UK, we even have like a service that provides that. It's a business service, and they actually just facilitate. They tell you who they know. This doesn't always translate, so this is difficult to implement. Yeah, and it has caused quite a few dilemmas before. Okay, let's go a little bit back to key perspectives actually in the knowledge notion. And we have a certain dilemma with this, and this is past research of me. The economic drive is certainly towards the formal side, so competence, skills, professionalization. Yeah, but I can tell you now, in the project setting, we actually drive towards the informal. It's a social cultural perspective that seems to be dominant for humans. Yeah, so we actually drive after knowledge. And what is wisdom? Yeah, experience? With what? Not knowledge is experience. You know how to do it. But what is then wisdom?
Experience in doing it the correct way, or the most efficient way.
Yeah, it's actually worse. Wisdom, by the way, here's a legitimization. Yeah, so wisdom is not accredited in jobs, sadly. Yeah, you just recognize it often. But wisdom is you have knowledge of how to do it wrong, and when it goes wrong, you recognize when it goes wrong. Yeah, and you know how to do it right. So wisdom is really you have experienced it many, many times. Yeah, and you have found out like, oh my gosh, we're going off track here. We need to focus on that. That is when you're wise. Yeah, and you recognize that because you have done it wrong before at that point. Yeah, you notice that that is a slippy slope to go down there. Yeah, and yeah, so this is literally the notion of wisdom. Very difficult to measure. Yeah, it's normally accredited to confidence levels, and this can be misleading, quite frankly. Yeah, to show you a little bit of that, an illustration. I thought it's a little bit entertainment to kind of bring it together, this slightly dry topic, but it's very powerful, very powerful. I hope this works. I hope it's not too loud. This is actually the more important part. Wait a minute, I switch this off. If you just see it, that should do it. Actually, let's switch the tone off. That is the safe way. Okay, here it is. Okay, I hope that was entertaining. So what happened? Yeah, surprise factor. You said it, yeah? So was that okay?
Yes.
Is that actually legal?
Oh, here, and you play that game, right?
Yeah. I don't know whether you can do that though. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm asking you.
But there is exactly the implicit notion of what half of the players on the field thought. Yeah, there was certainly the other team that was asking that question. What was your question?
Is that legal?
It's a game, so I don't think that the police comes. But it's a question of legitimization. You're spot on. Yeah, is this according to the rules? So what do you normally do in that situation?
To be honest, I've never seen that before, so I don't know.
So what do you normally do? You stand opposite and you get the ball, and what do you do?
Throw it back, make a play, run around the outside, and then get taken out.
Yeah, so here's the difference. The rule is just to hand it over, actually, but traditionally you do this and hand it back.
Yeah.
So this is what you are used to. So this is absolutely legitimate according to the rules. Yeah, but the surprise factor is there. Yeah? So knowledge can allow you to make smart choices, yeah? And it can free up options. So in summary, to memorize that, here's knowledge in the firm, just to point out. Yeah? You see our information documentation, yeah? So electronic documents, paper documents, and other makes kind of like 60% of the codifiable knowledge. But then you see this orange bit can be divided in managerial, and it's a small slice, and the rest is non-managerial. So knowledge is within you. They are difficult to capture. But as a capacity, and that is in a way what I wanted to come to with the American football example. Yeah, you can cut potentially research and develop time. That sounds slightly cryptic, but if you think about it, it will make a lot of sense. Other elements, knowledge as a capacity, if you look at it that way, a company's intellectual capital represents its ability to change in the face of adversity. So this is a very powerful thing. Develop new products, of course. Yeah, this is a consequence of that. We had that already, I repeated, cut research and develop time. Yeah, this is a very interesting one. Provide quality customer service and share knowledge with employees, partners, and customers. Yeah, so I've indicated the different ways. Okay, any questions at that time? Okay, I hope the last video made it a little bit catchy and made it stick. If you want to do research in this, this is cool stuff. Yeah, have a look at the references.